Welcome into Lambeau Field right after the Packers pull off a must-have win to rise to the top of the NFC North. And speaking of rising, Jason has incredibly grown, 6 inches since the last time I saw you? This is incredible.
My stool that you promised me you were going to bring me.
I know.
Because I don't like having a 6'7" colleague and friend like you, Andrew. So I brought my own, and now I'm too tall. So there's got to be a middle ground here. Kind of like the Packers are taking a middle ground about how excited they are about this win since they have to see the Bears in 13 days.
Yeah, you can't get too high on it if you're them, but we will dive right into it. You know, the offense has a must-score drive. They convert. The defense as a must-have stop, and they get it. Just a true all-around really nice win against a division rival that hasn't really been that competitive against Green Bay over the last few years, but tonight they certainly were.
Yeah, and you can feel it starting to shift, right? I mean, they have a coach in Ben Johnson who knows what he's doing. They have a quarterback who made a crucial mistake in crunch time. That's how you grow as a young quarterback. We saw it from Jordan Love in the last several years as well. But, boy, the defense coming through in the end after struggling, they could not catch their breath. The Packers have a 3-and-out offensively, then a quick touchdown, then another 3-and-out. You can see that they were dragging out there. So it was huge for them to get that stop at the end because, as you saw, they were moving pretty well against the Packers defense until Keyshawn Nixon came up with the interception.
Well, speaking of huge things, you talk about the fact that Jaden Reed goes down early in the season. Tucker Kraft is out. You know, they didn't have Christian Watson for that pretty big window at the start, but Watson tonight, the same team that he tore his ACL against last year right here at Lambeau Field, was the difference maker. Is he a wide receiver one? And if not, how big of an addition is he to this team?
Well, he sure played like one again tonight. And what I think is interesting, Andrew, is that, you know, Christian, I talked to him on Monday, and he kind of tried to downplay the idea that, I'm playing against the same team at the same place where I tore my ACL. But Jordan Love told us right after the game, this one meant a lot to Christian Watson. And so for him to come up with 2 huge touchdowns, another explosive play, he caught all 4 balls that were thrown his direction. He was fantastic tonight. There is not a player in that locker room who is more well-liked and respected than him. So there were a lot of guys really excited for him tonight.
And it wasn't really just a personal game for him, but you could argue for Matt LaFleur too. He didn't really let on that was the case with the comments that Ben Johnson made about him, but he almost jokingly kind of worked his way around them. Do you think this one meant a little bit more to him outside of the fact that it was just the Bears?
Yeah, so Andrew, when I see you, I greet you with a very warm welcome, right?
Yeah.
And you saw at the end of the game, it was a blow-by handshake.
Yeah.
There was no hesitation, no breaking stride. It reminded me of a few years ago when Matt LaFleur and Kyle Shanahan weren't real pleased with each other after Shanahan tried to poach Aaron Rodgers. Again, never break stride, barely make eye contact. And I thought Matt LaFleur, after the game with us, he was clearly trying to make sure he didn't say anything inflammatory, unlike Ben Johnson in his opening press conference, to try and ratchet up any sort of bulletin board material for the game in 13 days.
And we talked about it right off the top, that the Packers were trying to not make too much of this one. And if you really think about it, the Packers have a really tough test next week. The Bears play the Browns. I mean, this in 2 weeks could be kind of the same situation, playing for the top of the NFC North. How important is it that they stay grounded? And was this as big as we feel like it is right now?
No, Andrew, I think it is big. And I think, I understand what Matt LaFleur's reasoning was and Jordan Love's reasoning was. They clearly had the party line with us tonight. At the same time, it's a lot better to be going into that matchup at Soldier Field having won the home game here, and you have that game in hand against them. Now, with the tie on their record, there's not going to be a lot of tiebreaker issues. But in terms of being able to say, hey, we took it to them the first time, we held on when we needed to, they can go into this next matchup knowing that they've got a little bit of an upper hand. But to your point, this is far from over. But I would much rather, if I'm Matt LaFleur, have the W and have first place in the NFC and be in the discussion for the number 1 overall seed after this game than licking my wounds after losing to the Bears at home for the 2nd straight year.
And finally, the story of the offseason was the fact that the Packers just couldn't get it done in the NFC North last year, going 1-5. And first day of training camp, it was one of the first things that Jordan Love was asked. How do you change that? It's been the narrative, basically since last year. And he kind of just said, the party line, we got to play better, blah, blah, blah. But they've done it. How have they done it, and how have they risen to be, right now the elite team, beating the Lions twice, beating the Vikings, and now beating the Bears?
Yeah, they got Micah Parsons. That has certainly made it a lot different too, right? So, look, they're playing really good. I tried to ask Matt after the game. He talks so much about the importance of coming out the other side of adversity. And they've had plenty of it, whether it's been with injuries. Remember, we were standing here after their losses to the Carolina Panthers and the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles, and people were wondering, is the seat getting hot? What's wrong with this team offensively? They couldn't score. No one's talking about that now. They've won a bunch of games in a row. But again, like you said and like Matt LaFleur said, a lot of work still to be done.
A 28-21 win for the Packers over the Bears here in Lambeau. Like we said, they'll see each other in a little bit less than 2 weeks for, look at that. And the height shrinks. How about that is the magic of TV and the magic of this digital exclusive from a Packer win here at Lambeau. For Jason Stilts-Wilde, I'm Andrew Banstra at Lambeau Field.